For 15 years, I wasn't just a traveler. I was a collector of places. I'd haggled in Marrakesh, chased Santorini sunsets, and timed my life to the silent, pristine efficiency of Swiss trains. I saw myself as a globe-trotter, a connoisseur of cultures. I had a checklist, and with every new stamp in my passport, I thought I was getting closer to understanding the world. I honestly believed I'd seen the blueprint for how to travel, how to live, how to be. Then on a whim, I booked a flight to a dot on the map I knew almost nothing about, the Philippines, and in a single, chaotic, rain-soaked moment on a dusty roadside, I realized I knew nothing at all. I'd spent years learning how to see the world, but I was about to learn how to feel it. It happened on a small island, miles from the tourist hubs of El Nido or Boracay. I had a plan, of course, I always do. But my plans didn't account for a tropical downpour that turned the dirt road into a river of mud. That's when my rented scooter sputtered, coughed, and died. I was drenched, alone, and my phone was dead. My European mind immediately snapped into crisis mode, calculating risks, assessing threats, that familiar prickle of anxiety. In Europe, this would be a story about inconvenience. An expensive taxi, a frustrating phone call, a funny anecdote you tell later about being self-reliant. But as I stood there, feeling utterly defeated, a small wooden door creaked open. A woman gestured frantically, not with suspicion but with an urgency that felt like concern. Before I could even protest, I was ushered inside a small, modest home filled with the smell of garlic and frying fish. 3 generations of a family were just staring at me, not as an intruder, but as a guest they hadn't been expecting. There were no questions, no "what do you want?" just a flurry of action. Someone handed me a dry towel. Someone else placed a steaming cup of coffee and a plate of food in front of me before I'd even said my name. The son, who spoke a little English, just smiled and said, "You eat." It wasn't a question, it was a statement of care. In that moment, surrounded by the warmth of strangers who had next to nothing but offered me everything, the walls I'd so carefully built around myself just began to crumble. That roadside rescue was my introduction to a concept they call bayanihan. The word originally described neighbors literally picking up a family's house and carrying it to a new spot. Today, it's a spirit of communal unity, an unspoken promise that you're never really alone. I thought I knew what community was. In my world, community meant scheduled book clubs and waving to neighbors over the fence. It was polite, but it was bordered. In the Philippines, I saw those fences dissolve. I was invited to a town-wide fiesta by a woman I'd met an hour before. I wasn't treated like a tourist or a spectacle. I was treated like family. Plates of food were piled in front of me, and every person just wanted to share a story or a laugh, with zero expectation of getting anything in return. This wasn't just being nice, it was a core cultural worldview called pakikipagkapwa-tao, the idea of seeing yourself in others, of a shared humanity. It challenged everything I thought I knew about personal space and social boundaries. Back home, my life was curated and my interactions were scheduled. Here, life was a beautiful, messy, open-door policy. I had always prized my independence, but the Philippines taught me there's a deeper joy and strength in interdependence. They were living a core cultural value that puts the group's well-being above the individual's. It's impossible to travel through the Philippines and not see the signs of economic hardship. My European mind was conditioned with a simple, arrogant equation. Poverty equals misery. The Philippines showed me just how wrong that formula is. What I found wasn't a culture defined by its struggles, but one defined by its incredible resilience and joy in spite of them. I heard more laughter in bustling Filipino markets than in any chic Parisian cafe. I saw kids playing basketball on dusty courts with makeshift hoops, their shouts of pure joy echoing through the streets. And then there was the karaoke. Karaoke in the Philippines isn't just a pastime, it's a national expression of the soul. It's a loud, proud declaration that no matter how hard life gets, there is always a reason to sing. This ability to find joy in the middle of adversity is a powerful lesson. It forced me to look at the first world problems that dominated my life. The stress over deadlines, the anxiety of ambition, the constant chase for more. It all suddenly felt so trivial. Filipinos face typhoons that can wash their homes away, yet they gather, rebuild together, and they smile. They find humor in the most dire situations. This isn't about ignoring pain, it's about choosing hope. They weren't just surviving, they were living fully and vibrantly with a strength of spirit I had never seen before. For my entire adult life, I'd been on a treadmill, chasing the Western definition of a rich life. Career success, financial security, and a collection of experiences. Success was a ladder, and the only direction was up. The Philippines gently took me off that ladder and sat me down on a woven mat on the floor. Here, the currency of a rich life isn't about money. It's about time, relationships, and connection. The pace of life is slower, not because of inefficiency, but because the priorities are different. Why rush a meeting when you're sharing a real conversation with a friend? Why worry about the future when you can be present in this exact moment of laughter with your family? It was a complete revelation. I realized I'd spent so much of my life collecting things, photos, souvenirs, achievements, instead of simply collecting moments. I remember asking a fisherman about his ambitions, his 5-year plan. He looked at me, puzzled, then pointed to his kids playing by the water, to the setting sun, to his small boat bobbing in the waves. He said, "This is it. It is good." There was no anxiety about what he lacked. There was only gratitude for what he had. That wasn't laziness. It wasn't a lack of ambition. It was a profound form of wealth. He was free. He was free to be present, to say yes to a spontaneous invitation, to value a human connection more than a schedule. I had been working so hard for a freedom that was already right there, available to anyone willing to redefine what it truly means to be rich. I left home a globetrotter, a collector of sights. I measured my trips in miles and landmarks. I came back from the Philippines a traveler, a collector of feelings. The Philippines gave me something I didn't even know I was looking for, a sense of belonging in the world. Europe taught me how to see, but the Philippines taught me how to feel. It stripped away my preconceptions and replaced them with a new definition of a meaningful life, one measured not by what you own or achieve, but by the warmth of your connections and the joy you find in simple moments. My journey didn't just add another stamp to my passport. It rewrote the whole book. It forced me to stop collecting the world and finally start connecting with it. So now I want to ask you, what place in the world didn't just impress you, but fundamentally changed you? Share your story in the comments. I would genuinely love to read it.